Hello Internet, it's me Josh, the Aging Gamer, and I'm back and I'm keeping it old school. I got my cheap camera, my cheap microphone, and I'm doing videos that you couldn't tell if they were done in 2015, 2018, 2022, 2025, who knows? I'm just a dude doing retro reviews and I'm glad to be back doing it, haha! So I've been doing retro video game reviews for almost 10 years now. It'll be 10 years this year. And I've talked about a lot of different franchises, and for some reason I haven't talked about one of the biggest franchises in gaming yet. I haven't talked about Pokémon! I'm not sure why I haven't talked about the series yet either, because at one point I was obsessed with this franchise. I was there at the beginning when the games first came out. Pokemon Blue was one of the first games I've ever pre-ordered. So, let's get to this. Let's talk about Pokemon. In 1990, video game designer Satoshi Tajiri, influenced by his childhood hobby of collecting insects, pitched the concept to Nintendo of a monster collecting video game. Nintendo thought the idea was a little too ambitious, but Shigeru Miyamoto was sold on the idea. The game would focus heavily on collecting monsters, and one of the big ideas would be that players could trade monsters with other players. This wouldn't quite work on a console like the Famicom or Super Famicom that was around at the time. Tajiri realized that it could only be done with the Game Boy, as the Game Boy had a link cable. So, Tajiri and his team, Game Freak, got underway with making the title on the Nintendo handheld. Tajiri, along with art designer Ken Sugimori, and fewer than 10 other people would design all 151 monsters for the game. These monsters would be called Pokémon. Shigeru Miyamoto suggested that Game Freak release 2 different types of cartridges of the game, each containing select exclusive Pokemon, as this would help influence the idea of trading and getting players to interact with each other more. And in 1996, Pocket Monsters would be released in Japan. More specifically, Pocket Monsters Red version and Pocket Monsters Green version. And in Japan, it was a smashing success. Over here in the West, though, well, we wouldn't get Pokemon for another 2 years. However, I remember all the hype and build up to this like it was yesterday. So I was still in elementary school at the time, and I had a friend named Eric, and he was one of those kids that got like every single like new game, new console, new gaming accessory. He got all that stuff whenever it came out. Day one, he would have everything. And he also had several video game magazine subscriptions, with one of them being Nintendo Power. And in one of these issues, Nintendo talked about a upcoming franchise called Pokemon. And that was before we really started getting the hype here in the States. So my friend Eric told me about it, and I was pretty intrigued. It sounded like a pretty cool concept for a video game. And as the release date got closer and closer, we started finding out more and more about the game. And we started getting hyped. Not only did we get hyped, we started strategizing. If we're going to catch them all, we had to work together. So Eric decided he was going to get Pokemon Red, and I was going to get Pokemon Blue. So we both went to our local Toys R Us, and we pre-ordered the games. As we were waiting several weeks before the game came out, the Pokemon anime started airing on TV. This anime was actually pretty damn good. With colorful characters and a slow introduction to each Pokemon every episode, our hype levels were now through the roof. And holy shit, that catchy poker app got us knowing every existing Pokemon's name before we even got our hands on the game. The marketing for Pokemon was amazing. And then finally, the day came, September 28th, 1998. My friend Eric and I went to our local Toys R Us, and we picked up our pre-orders, and then we got the game. We got the game! It finally came out and we got it! So, well, let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pokemon Red version and Blue version for the Nintendo Game Boy. As soon as you start the game, we're introduced to the world of Pokemon by Professor Oak. We start by picking our name. I'll put in Josh, of course, and then we meet our rival and grandson to Professor Oak. Oak can't remember his own grandson's name, which is pretty embarrassing. Some people would put something like asshole or fuckface as his name, but my friend Eric and I originally used each other's names. While he was my best bud at the time, he was a friendly rival as well. So the game starts and we're playing the Super Nintendo. We make our way to some grass and Professor Oak redirects us to his lab. Your character and your rival, both 11-year-olds from Pallet Town, are now about to start a Pokemon journey. Professor Oak aids you by giving you the choice to pick one out of 3 Pokemon to start with. Your starter choice has to be one of the toughest decisions anyone playing this game would make. Actually, it wasn't too hard for me. I knew right away that I wanted to pick the Fire Lizard Charmander. How could I not pick a little fire-breathing dragon dude? There's also Squirtle, the water Pokemon. He's actually not too bad of a pick either. And then there's Bulbasaur, the dinosaur-looking plant guy who's really popular for some reason. I don't get that. To me, it's Charmander all the way. Fire Pokemon for the win! Oh yeah, so there's different types of Pokemon in this game. There's 15 different elemental types that you can get throughout this whole series. And each Pokemon has a type. Sometimes they have 2 types. But the types are normal type, water type, fire, grass, poison, ground, flying, ice, ghost, dragon, psychic, rock, fighting, bug, and electric. Pokemon types matter a lot because each type is going to be either strong against or weak against other ones. For example, fire Pokemon are strong against grass type because in real life, fire burns grass pretty easily, so that makes sense. Water Pokemon, though, are strong against fire types, which, again, in real life, water puts out fire, so again, that makes sense. And then in a perfect triangle, grass type is strong against water type because grass hurts water some way, somehow? Of course, once you start playing, you'll see how all the different types come into play. You can carry 6 different Pokemon on you at any time, so it's good to have a team with some variety. Back to the game, though. You pick your Pokemon, and then your rival will pick whichever Pokemon has the type advantage over yours. In my case, my rival picks Squirtle, which is funny because in real life, my rival Eric also picks Squirtle. Your rival will then immediately challenge you to a battle. And now it's time for some good old turn-based action. While Squirtle does have the type advantage over Charmander, neither Pokemon have learned any elemental attacks, so this will be a pretty even battle. I got 2 options here. I can use Growl to lower my opponent's attack, or I can use Scratch to actually do some damage. In different scenarios, you'll really have to strategize how to take your opponent down, but this battle here shouldn't be too hard. We win! Our rival takes off, we have a mission of delivering a parcel to Professor Oak, and then we receive our Pokédex. This handy-dandy little tool gives us data on each Pokemon we've caught and lets you see potentially where else you can find that Pokemon out in the wild. And you know, I actually still have my Pokédex from when I was a kid. This little Tiger Electronic, open it up. You can type in a Pokemon's number or name and look it up and you'll get a little Pokemon right there, a little digitized version. It's alright, it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty awesome back in the day. I actually had a lot of different Pokemon merchandise. There was different toys and everything. There was like ones that looked like little like Game Boy Colors that you put a ball in and you shoot it out at the Pokemon, I guess. I didn't understand it, but it was cool because it was Pokemon. I was also really into the Pokemon mangas that I could find at the time. There was this series called The Electric Tale of Pikachu that had really cool art, and I still have a lot of those issues, and I just thought this was cool because it had great art, and yeah, it was something different from the games in the anime, but still Pokemon. I thought it was really cool. But anyway, back to the game. Now that we got our Pokédex, let's go to the Pokemart and get some Pokeballs to catch some Pokemon. Yeah, Poke this, Poke that. Catching Pokemon is simple. Get into a battle with the wild Pokemon, lower its health, then throw a Pokeball for a chance to capture it. In the beginning of the game, it's pretty easy, but later on it can get quite tough. And as we journey forward, we'll battle lots of trainers and we'll find lots of wild Pokemon. And when I was a kid, finding and collecting all the different Pokemon in the game was my favorite part. It was fun searching out and exploring. Different Pokemon would appear in different areas of the game, and some of them were actually pretty hard to find. For example, in the beginning of the game we have to go through Viridian Forest. It's swarming with bug Pokemon like Weedles and Caterpies. It's pretty rare, but there's a small chance you'll come across Pokemon's own mascot, Pikachu! Look how chunky that little guy is! That's actually the version I like of Pikachu the most. He's just this big chunky little pillow. I'm not sure why they designed him to be so much skinnier later on. Because honestly, Pikachu is the way to go. Coming across rare Pokemon like this could take forever to find. Sometimes I could spend a good half hour or so searching for a rare Pokemon, and sometimes I have the dumb luck of finding one right away. I remember back in the day when there wasn't quick, easy YouTube videos to look up info, I'd spend a lot of time searching in every single area of the game, trying to make sure I didn't miss out on any potential rare Pokemon. The trainer guide that comes with the game only gives you so much info. And that's why I would eventually get a real guide, the official Nintendo Player's Guide to be exact. My particular guide has been beaten to hell, but it's still a great source of info. I even still got all the little stickers that came with it. And what I really enjoyed about the guide too was just looking through the artwork in here. Ken Sugimori has such a unique art style that I just adore, and it really stood out at the time, and it still kind of stands out today. There's also a few rare Pokemon that can only be obtained by trading with some NPCs. It's the only way to get Mr. Mime, the creepiest Pokemon in the game. There's also this guy here that'll trade you so you can collect Jinx. Yikes, maybe that's the creepiest Pokemon. There's a few other Pokemon you can get, so make sure you talk to everyone you come across so you don't miss out. So in the game of Pokemon, you have two main goals. One, to catch as many Pokemon as possible and fill out your Pokedex. And two, to battle your way through the game and become the best Pokemon trainer there is, a Pokemon Master. To do that though, you'll need to collect badges. So in this game you'll travel town to town, finding new Pokemon and fighting lots of Pokemon trainers along the way. In some towns you'll come across a Pokemon gym. Inside the gym, you'll find a Pokemon gym leader. They're a strong trainer that specializes in a certain type of Pokemon. Essentially this game's boss fights. The first one you'll come across is Brock, the Pewter City gym leader that specializes in rock Pokemon. He can be a little tough, especially if you choose Charmander as your starter, but strategize and he can be defeated. And once you do, you'll get the Boulder Badge. Collect all 8 badges in this land of Kanto, and you'll be able to compete against the Pokemon League for a chance to become the ultimate Pokemon Master. So, let's get more badges! We'll travel through towns and caves, and we'll even occasionally come across this game's main antagonist, outside of your rival. It's the gang of Pokemon thieves called Team Rocket. We'll first come across them in the beginning of the game, in Mount Moon, where they're trying to steal Pokemon fossils. They use a lot of poison Pokemon, but overall aren't too hard to fight off. While in Mount Moon, we'll also come across a tough decision. After battling a scientist, we'll get the choice between choosing a Dome Fossil or Helix Fossil for a reward. Both fossils can be changed into a Pokemon later in the game, however, you can only get one, and you will not be able to get the other one at all. It's times like this where it's good to strategize with a friend. You can get one in your game, and your friend can get the other, and then you can trade with each other to fill out your Pokedex. There's a few decisions you'll come across like this. Like after defeating a fighting type gym, you'll get the choice between a Piston Puncher Hitmonchan or the hard-hitting Hitmonlee as a reward. So moving on to the next town, Cerulean City, we'll find our next gym. The gym leader is Misty, the water Pokemon trainer. Her, along with Brock, were main characters in the Pokemon anime. But here, they're not my friends, they're my enemies. Take this! So as we continue our journey, we'll meet a man who turned himself into a Pokemon with amazing technology never mentioned again in the series. We'll also go on a cruise and harass passengers, and then we'll fight our next gym leader, LT Surge, the electric trainer. He mentions something about his Pokemon helping him out in the war, which really makes me curious about this world's history, but his Pokemon can't help him here. If you have a ground Pokemon, this battle is a cinch. Defeat Surge and his Raichu to win. We'll then travel through a cave, pass through some towns, and find a Team Rocket hideout in a casino. You can actually gamble in the casino if you want to. Instead of kicking out an 11-year-old, the people running this casino encourage underage gambling. Some of the local gamblers will even give you money. Anyway, fight your way through the Team Rocket hideout and you'll fight the leader of Team Rocket, Giovanni. He's a tough guy, but we'll have to be tougher. Afterwards, we'll reach our next gym and we'll fight the grass Pokemon trainer, Erica. Grass Pokemon are notorious for their sleep, paralyze, and poison status changes while in battle. The gym can be annoying for it, but if you got a good fire Pokemon, you should be able to win easily. Hell yeah! And my Charmeleon evolved into Charizard! He's one of the coolest in the game! Oh yeah, baby, yeah! Charizard is one of my favorite Pokemon. Look how awesome he is! And I love the fact that he gets special treatment. He was one of the chosen fighters in the fighting game Pokken. He survived the cuts in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS and was a standalone fighter. And he received not one, but 2 Mega Evolutions later on in the series. And also this. If you had this back in the day, you were the shit! Self-proclaimed. Back when the game first came out, this Charizard card right here was one of the most rarest, most powerful cards in the whole Pokemon trading card game. And while I haven't collected the cards since like 2000, 2001, I still have a binder with all my old cards in them. It's fantastic. I love it. And you know what? I got stories about these too. There were a few times that my friendly rival Eric and I went to Toys R Us as they would have little tournaments and stuff, and sometimes I'd get a promo card. Exclusive there. How cool is that? And when Pokemon, the first movie, came out in theaters, my friend Eric and I, again, went to see that, and again, we got exclusive trading cards there. Also going to see that first Pokemon movie, we got this shiny exclusive Mew card. It's so shiny it's ridiculous, but to be honest, I don't follow the card scene anymore, so I don't even think these are worth anything. But I do like keeping them around, just like my Marvel cards, just for nostalgia's sake. And to be honest, I can't imagine even trying to collect the cards now. I've seen the videos out there. You scalpers sicken me. Moving on, we'll go through a cemetery tower. Funny, I've never seen Pokemon die though, just faint. Inside this tower, we'll fight some creepy possessed channelers that can only be saved by defeating the ghost Pokemon taking over them. Demonic possession, terrorism, underage gambling, glorified cockfighting? Welcome to the world of Nintendo! Next, we'll go through a giant building that has been completely taken over by Team Rocket. Next, we'll wake up and battle a Snorlax, and we'll go down Bicycle Road. Once we reach Fuchsia City, we'll fight our next gym leader, the Poison Ninja Koga. At this point in the game, we should have plenty of Pokemon to take him down. Also in Fuchsia City, there's a place called the Safari Zone. So in here, there's a lot of rare and exclusive Pokemon. The catch, though, is that you can't battle them with your own Pokemon. Instead, you have to throw either bait or rocks to weaken them. Yeah, peg a Pokemon with a rock. I'm sure that Execute wouldn't just explode on impact. There's no way to really tell if the Pokemon is ready to be caught or not, and there's a pretty good chance that the Pokemon just runs away. Sometimes you just have to throw a safari ball and hope for the best. This actually makes the safari zone very frustrating because every encounter feels luck-based rather than relying on skill. And considering there's 2 extremely rare Pokemon that can only be found here, Tauros and Kangaskhan, it's really irritating. Those 2 Pokemon are indeed the hardest to catch in the whole freaking game. You could spend so much time just trying to find one of them, and the chances are, as soon as you do, they'll just run away. Screw that, just screw it. Forget it. So, after doing some tasks in Fuchsia City, we'll get the ability to surf on water. This opens up new possibilities to explore Kanto a bit. South of Fuchsia City is the Seafoam Islands, where deep within you'll find one of the legendary birds, the flying ice-type Pokemon, Articuno. This Pokemon is a high level and pretty strong, but it can be caught. Be warned though, you only get 1 shot. If you defeat it, it's gone forever. East of Cerulean City, you can find an abandoned power plant. Inside there, you'll find the next legendary bird, the electrifying Zapdos. I always thought this guy was so cool looking. Anyway, our next gym battle will be with the psychic Pokemon trainer, Sabrina. She's got some strong Pokemon. Defeat her though, and we'll get our 7th badge. Our next destination is south of Pallet Town. We'll swim down to Cinnabar Island. We can get our fossil Pokemon revived here, and we'll also go through this abandoned Pokemon mansion. After this, we'll fight against the Cinnabar gym leader, Blaine, the fire trainer. Use a good water Pokemon to easily flesh out Blaine's Pokemon. Alright, we only need 1 more badge. It's back to Vermilion City, and its gym leader is a mystery. Let's find out who it is. It's Giovanni. Let's defeat him one more time. We did it! We collected all the Pokemon badges! Now let's make our way to the Pokemon League! Let's do this! West of Vermilion City is Victory Road. We'll travel up north, showing guards badges for confirmation to proceed forward, and once we reach the end, we'll enter the Victory Road Cave. Inside, there's many strong Pokemon trainers and wild Pokemon. There's boulders we must move and switches we must hit to get out of here. Hidden in here as well is the last legendary bird, the fire-flying Pokemon, Moltres. But make it out of the cave and we'll make it to Indigo Plateau. This is where the Elite Four are located. The Elite Four members themselves are pretty tough, and there's no Pokemon Center to heal your Pokemon between battles, so let's stock up on some revives, hyper potions, and full heals before entering. Alright, let's do this. The first member of the Elite Four is Lorelei, a water and ice trainer. Ew, she's got one of those jinxes. What? We'll defeat her and move on. We now must fight against Bruno, the rock and fighting trainer. Next, we got Agatha, the poison and ghost trainer. And last but not least, we got Lance, the dragon trainer. Once you defeat them all, we did it! The Elite Four is defeated! Wait, what? There's one more fight? Eric! You son of a bitch, it's time for you to go down! So here we are, just us and our rival. We've battled him numerous times throughout the game, but now he's at his best. And all things considered, he does know how to pick out some pretty strong Pokemon. But let's kick his ass. So we did it! We beat the Elite Four! Elite Five. For reals this time! We'll see our winning Pokemon entered into some kind of Hall of Fame, and then the credits roll. So we did it! We beat the game! Now what? Well, I guess we could go out there and try to fill up our Pokedex some more. But there is some real post-game content. A whole new cave in Cerulean City opens up, called Cerulean Cave, of course. Inside this cave we'll find lots of strong and rare Pokemon. Make your way to the end to find the strongest Pokemon of them all, Mewtwo. If you haven't used your Master Ball that we got earlier in the game, the Master Ball being a Pokeball that has a 100% catch rate, now is a good time to use it. But it is possible to catch Mewtwo as well as any other Pokemon in the game without it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Pokemon. That's the game that started it all. Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. So, how does this game hold up? How does it hold up by today's standards? Well, the Pokemon formula is tried and true. The idea of catching a wide variety of wild creatures and training them as your own allies is such an amazing concept. Though not quite original, I heard something about Dragon Quest doing it first, but I haven't really played too much in that series, so I can't really talk about it. But when I was a kid, I was amazed by this game, because typically RPGs around this time would already have a small set of characters that the game would use to tell its story. Here though, it feels way more of a personal experience because the team you choose is completely up to you. You pick the characters you want to play as, and with so many Pokemon to choose from, you could play this game multiple times and have different experiences. The music in this game is pretty damn catchy too, with most of the themes just being so iconic. And visually, it's not too bad. It actually has pretty typical graphics for a Game Boy, but some of the Pokemon in this game do look pretty cool. Some, not so much. And whoever designed Coughing Sprite completely messed up drawing him. How did this slip go completely under the radar? Now, does this game have faults? Oh yeah, big time. I'd say the biggest weakness is that this game is just so unbalanced. One of the biggest issues is just how ridiculously overpowered Psychic Pokemon are. Psychic Pokemon typically have a strong special base stat, which means that their elemental attacks as well as defense to elemental attacks are through the roof. And what are Psychic Pokemon's weaknesses? Bugs and Ghost types. Bug Pokemon in the game are rather weak, and the strongest bug attack is still a low damaging move. Ghost Pokemon in the game are even weaker. There's only 3 Ghost Pokemon in the whole game, all coming from the same evolution line, and each of those are part Ghost type and part Poison type. Poison is weak to Psychic, so the Ghost Pokemon in this game are completely useless against Psychic in that regard. In fact, there's a lot of Grass Pokemon that are also Poison type, so again, that gives Psychic Pokemon the advantage. Unrelated to the Psychic Pokemon issue, but still an issue to me, there's only 3 Dragon type Pokemon in this game, and like the Ghost Pokemon, they all come from the same evolution line. Why isn't there more Dragon types? Listen, if you don't want to call Charizard a dragon despite looking like a dragon, fine, keep him a fire-flying type. But how the hell is Gyarados not a dragon? Instead, he's a water and flying? Come on. Another thing that really gets aggravating in this game is your inventory. You can only hold a total of 20 items at a time. You'll want to hold on to some key items like the bicycle, Pokeflute, Pokeballs, and healing items at all times. But when you're going through caves and hideouts and all that, you'll end up collecting a lot of items. Too many at a time though. You'll either have to throw some items on hand away, or backtrack to get those items later. You can, however, store up to 50 items in your PC, but still, 20 items at a time on hand sucks. Although it is kind of funny at some points, like after you beat Giovanni for the final time, he usually gives you a TM, and then he disappears forever. Here though, I have no room to hold the item, so he's just stuck in the gym. Other than all that, I still think the game is fun, but I grew up with it too. There are also other versions and remakes of this game out there as well. The first alternate version of the game was Pokemon Yellow version. This version was released in the US a year after the original games. In this version, it follows more in line with the anime. Pikachu follows around you, and you can even talk to him. All the Pokemon got new sprites, and so did Misty and Brock to match their anime look. In this game, you could also receive all 3 starter Pokemon, similar to the cartoon. And we even got Team Rocket battles with Jessie and James. Pokemon Yellow is a small twist to the game, but it's essentially the same thing. Then in 2004, we saw the release of Pokémon Fire Red and Leaf Green for the Game Boy Advance. This was a remake of the original games, but with all the bells and whistles of other Pokemon games at the time, which were Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Then in 2018, we got another remake, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. This game follows more of the Pokemon Yellow side of things. The biggest change here is that for catching Pokemon, it uses, of all things, Pokemon Go's method of just tossing Pokeballs correctly. That kinda sucks. So yeah, Pokemon was a pretty big part of my childhood growing up. I put so many hours into the game, and then, oh man, everyone flipped their lid when a new Pokemon sequel was announced. In the year 2000, Pokemon Gold and Silver were released for the Game Boy Color. And let me tell you, those games are the perfect sequels in so many ways. The sequels added so much, like 100 brand new Pokemon, which included baby versions of older Pokemon and new evolutions of older Pokemon, 86 new moves, a night and day system, a day of the week system with special events taking place on certain days, dividing the special stat to special attack and special defense to even things out, genders to Pokemon, ability to breed Pokemon, egg hatching, super rare shiny Pokemon, the ability to hold items, 2 new Pokemon types, Dark and Steel, a customizable room, a bigger inventory, new Pokeballs, an experience bar to show how close you are to leveling up, an icon to signify if you already caught a wild Pokemon, making collecting a whole lot easier, new methods to catching Pokemon, a happiness system to Pokemon, mystery gift, new Pokegear which includes a phone and radio, a playable female character if you're playing on Pokemon Crystal, Pokemon animations, again if you're playing Pokemon Crystal, oh, and color! This game has a fun plot too. It takes place 3 years after the original and features a lot of new and familiar faces. It even has the return of Team Rocket. And, spoilers, after you collect this land of Johto's 8 badges and beat the Elite Four here, the post-game features the return of Kanto, where you can collect another 8 badges. It's amazing! And there's even a final battle with Red. That's the main protagonist from the first game. This is a proper sequel. Like I said, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal were the perfect follow-ups. And the DS remakes, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I think are the best games that I've played in the entire series. Then came out Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire in 2003 for the Game Boy Advance. The game was definitely a lot prettier, and it added some stuff like double battles, Pokemon abilities, and natures to Pokemon personalities. At this point though, I was kinda disappointed because we could all kinda see how formalic the games were becoming. You start off as a kid, meeting your local professor, where you get to choose a water, grass, or fire starter Pokemon. You then travel out and you fight off some Pokemon terrorist gang, while also collecting 8 badges so you can compete against the Pokemon League. It's the same game every single time. And so, I kinda lost interest in the series. Sure, I played some Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Pokemon Black and White, but the magic is just kinda gone for me. Also, never mind the fact that it's damn near impossible to complete the Pokédex. A quick Google search tells me that right now at this moment in time, there's 1,025 different Pokemon. And from what I understand, a lot of the Pokemon community don't like the Kanto-based games. They feel that Kanto gets too much special treatment. Well, to me, it's not hard to see why. Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, Yellow, these were the games that introduced something new to the gaming world. It was these games that started a trend and made people fall in love with a whole new concept to RPGs. It was the original games that are so iconic because of that. And while, yeah, later games are technically better, the originals had the feelings of something new, something fun, and something mysterious that just can't be replicated in this series anymore. It's why it seems like, for the most part, everyone's favorite Pokemon game is their first one. And to me, it's Pokemon Red and Blue. Sure, it's outdated in a lot of ways, but goddamn, I still have fun playing this game. But these are just my opinions. What do you guys think? What do you think of the original Pokemon games? What do you think about Pokemon in general? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit like. If you dislike, you can dislike it too, I guess. And subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. I thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Take care!